最も必要なもの、それは運です。
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Relevant Ramblings, here once more with your big dogs of the Project Webtoons podcast group. As always, I am so grateful to be on with your big host. It is Sleepy.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Seraph here.
Hey.
It's Art Dragoon.
Only cut out a tiny bit. You rested and all good, Ark?
I took my nap.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
And I got food in my stomach.
Oh, even better. That's even more of a plus, because usually you're in the middle of eating when we're doing this, so we don't have to worry about that this time. Unfortunately, though, Seraph is going on the starvation train right now. Y'all kind of swap places there a little bit.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah, well, we wanted to start this a little later, but we actually wanted to throw out a random off one episode, since we've pretty much been back to back on talking about webtoons, and of course we all know that we've got some other interests in there that we definitely like to keep up with our time, just occupy our time, of course, that being with anime and manga. Figure that we dabble at least one episode on that and see how everyone is on that front going right now. But as always, before we jump into all the fun discussions, definitely please hit that like and subscribe button down below so you can be notified of when new episodes come out, and also join the crew. But yeah, I know we're at the beginning of the new year and everything, and a bunch of things have restarted and a bunch of things are starting for the first time, starting up here. But I wanted to meet up with you guys and see what's going on with y'all on the anime front right now. What are y'all currently into?
I'm not watching any of it.
Really? You're just straight up fuck this? Really?
No, it's I've already read it at this point. I've read Reo of Healer, right? And
wait, you've read that?
I read it all the time. Reo Healer.
Really? Both of you have?
Yeah, Reo of Healer. I'm going to tell you this. Reo of Healer is better as a read than an actual anime. Because when because when it's an actual anime, you're like, okay, I get these scenes where it's ridiculous, the dick slapping scene and that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's kind of
casually, it's just fat, whatever. It's wax, whatever.
But it's missing so much from comparatively when you're reading it to when you're watching it. And it's just okay, then I don't particularly care to just watch it. Then I will watch just the scenes they cut out just for oh, that was ridiculous to see, right? Okay, cool. And it's more fun to watch reactions of other people watching Reo of Healer than actually watching Reo of Healer.
Yeah, it seemed the first two episodes I saw, I was like, okay, I probably don't need to see this, but I didn't know anybody was actually reading it. So.
Okay. If you have not watched Reo of Healer, and if you've never read Reo of Healer, I would first say, yeah, read Reo of Healer, because it's a better read.
Please.
However, if you have not watched it or read it before, then watch it. Because I actually think it's one of those that it's it feels so bad to watch it. He's man, this is so horrifically terrible. But for some odd reason, it's real good.
Those do not
because the especially since I was trying to figure out I was man, I wonder why I know I'm not watching Reo of Healer, but I feel if I hadn't been reading it, I probably would watch it, because it took me a bit to figure out why, and I was oh, because the director is the same director who directs High School DxD, so he knows oh yeah, this is pure just sexual shenanigans, so he knows how to direct that.
He's got the eye for that. He's I know exactly where
yeah,
where the fans want the sauce, right?
Everyone has probably already seen a GIF or a GIF, whatever how you want to pronounce it, or like a cut of the scene where the main character fucking uses heel on his dick and the dick slaps the bitch with it, and you're like, oh, okay. I mean, really, right? But at the same time,
and you to get hard again just to slap her.
And that's when you figure out this is not a hentai. You're like,
yeah,
what?
It's not a hentai.
Like,
it's definitely not.
What?
But I'm gonna tell you this: the directing of that scene is really well done, considering everything. Like
he's not wrong.
Like when Peter watched it, he was like, wait, Peter took it. He was like, wait, did that just happen? Like, my mind. He was like, my mind was just like, what the fuck happened, right? And that's what Reo of Healer is. Okay, you don't watch it because you're like, oh, this is a good anime. Okay, you watch it because you're like, man, what is this thing, right? Like, you're like, this isn't anime and it's not hentai because it's like somewhere in between where it doesn't know what it wants to do both at the same time. And especially if you watch if you watch the opening for Reo of Healer, I'm like, you would be tricked to believe this was a regular isekai until you watch it, you're like, this is like the revenge porn of revenge porn. Yes, it is.
I feel like this is someone's weird. This is either a writer or the creator's weird response after like reading everyone's comments about Shield Hero and Goblin Slayer and just going,
he was like,
you know what I'm gonna do?
You thought that was
Let me show you. You don't know.
The reason why I enjoy this is the same exact reason why I enjoy like Panty and Stocking, where they know, they're like, no, I'm gonna make this as terrible as possible, okay? Because I know exactly what the market for this is, and that's what that is. Like that's perfectly what it is.
This is the only podcast on the entire internet that will happily apparently endorse Reo of Healer because of what the fuck.
I mean, there's no reason not to endorse it.
I mean, I can't think of one right off the top of my head outside of the few really bad scenes.
The really fucked up scenes?
Yeah, like, if we already got, like, the full form-page argument about the two things that happened in those other two anime/mangas, and then we get this, I'm like, so what could they possibly say to all of that?
False underbod.
You watch it for like the direction of the anime and like how it's directed and how like you don't watch it for like, oh, I watch it to get off because like I'm trying to figure like no, you could just watch hentai for that, like you could, like, right? But then at the same time you're like, yeah, but this isn't exactly anime. But then when you watch it, you're like, no, but like the techniques that's being used in this is like, no, that directing there is real fucking good, okay? Like it's like
when you don't want to direct
like some sort of like so much like ability, but then he's like, I want to use it for evil.
This is the epitome of I don't want to be known as a hentai director, but I really want to get close. I want to showcase my talent.
I want to showcase my talent and show you that I can do better hentai if I really wanted to do hentai. And you're like, yes, this is true.
Oh my god. Okay. What's up with that? This has like been a continuous trend of like, this isn't the first one, but like oh god, what was it?
Isekai reviewers?
Yes, the Isekai reviewers with that. Like this weird trend of like, these are not hentais, but we're real close on the borderline of it.
No, see with Isekai reviewers, it was like it's a comedy thing. It knows that, hey,
well, yes,
like
it's a comedy thing. I get that.
with Reo of Healer, Reo of Healer is like, no. I want to make it as serious as possible, and this is what you get. And then he's like, all right, all those like tags that everyone's like, oh man, I don't like NTR, or I don't like slash, or like all these dark tags on like whenever I'm looking at this stuff because I'm a vanilla flavor person, right? And this person's like, no, give me all that shit, all that terrible shit, and I would just like wrap it up into a story, and that's what this is like.
Oh god.
The only thing I don't think I've read in the manga, maybe someone can correct me that it's in the light novel, is like, is there any guru? Like, is there gore? Like, I missed?
I really hope there's no Guro. And if you want to know what that is, look it up yourself.
Yeah, because like almost every other dark tag is in this, right? So I'm sure there must be, because there are scenes where like there are like a bunch of stuff that's like cut out in the manga where I feel like things should have like the end result of what happened here is someone is badly injured, right? And I'm like, all right, I know something was cut, all right, like because like the manga artist is like, I'm not gonna have this put bit. This is where I draw the line. Like blood and gore is where I draw the line.
I'm
right?
not doing this any further. Okay.
Blood and gore during the action is perfectly fine, but blood and gore during anything during sex, that's not my kink. That's where the artist just drew the line. Like that's what I think. So like someone has read the light novel. Yeah, someone's read the light novel, and you can tell me that like, oh yeah, this does happen. I'm like, oh okay, that makes sense because I'm sure it does happen.
I'm so happy that we get to have a discussion for this since I have pretty much
the manga artist looked at the blood and gore and went, and I took that personally.
Yeah, right.
Yep. He's like, this is what stopped me at the end of the day. Just went delete. Nope.
Rape, mind break, like brainwash, like mind control, like NTR, all of these dark
gender
tags.
swap.
Yeah, gender swap.
Yep.
There was a point in a manga where he turned a dude into a chick and had her get face fucked.
Alright, we're definitely gonna put up that explicit tag on this one.
He left. He left the doggers on there so they couldn't get down there.
Oh God. All
Drug
right.
use, like all of the dark tags,
Just,
like that's what it is.
Well.
All for revenge.
I mean, revenge.
Absolute revenge.
Truly absolute revenge. God.
I will spoil it right now.
Please,
as to why he had this.
Please don't. Oh, well, I see we started off on a really strong topic to begin here. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I read Redo of Healer, right?
I mean, both
I've also read Redo of Healer.
Apparently, I need to walk into this world just a little bit, and yeah, deal with that. Just
you should either read it or watch it, Stefan. It's surprisingly like it knows doing.
If I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna have to
reading it.
I would say I'm probably gonna read it. If I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna have to close my doors and put on headphones because I got other people around there.
You watch it and then you have it out loud so then someone can watch it, walk in and be like, "What the fuck you watching?" Like, it's not a hentai. Like you straight up, you straight up pointed out it's not a hentai. Okay, like that's the thing with Redo of Healer. Okay, it's not a hentai. All right, so be proud that it's not a fucking hentai.
That is not a good buffer.
Limits.
That is the worst shield to throw up on anything I could say. Just the most effed up thing on my screen appears and someone walks in, I just go, it's not a hentai. Like that's the shield you would throw to like, oh okay, and then walk away.
What? Do you see me beating my meat? Yo, I'm fine. I'm watching anime. That's all it is.
All right. Okay, so Redo of Healer. Definitely let us know in the comments if anyone else out there is reading that and their thoughts on every explicit little detail there. If you can leave that in some hidden brackets.
Safe, okay? If you are reading it and you enjoy it, okay, here you are safe. I do not care if you are reading it, all right?
Clearly not. I wouldn't know if it was safe, but we don't need to hear about your own personal works on that. But Seraph, what are you up into this current season for anime?
One I really enjoy is Skate the Infinity because I'm a skater as well, so like it just like peaks
skater boy
for me. Yep, I'm a skater boy, and then they said see you later, boy.
Oh God!
Is it just like air gear all over again?
That's what I was gonna wonder. It's like, so you said something about battles, and I was like, okay, so is this like air gear?
Yeah, they have races down this thing called the S, and it's a mountain.
Okay.
So it's like Initial D, but on
yeah, it's like Initial D, but skateboarding. Yes, actually,
that sounds so much more dangerous.
They have these races down this fucking mountain called the S, and it's called like the S race, and like These motherfuckers can be able to use like firecrackers to throw at your opponents and shit like that. They fucking pulling out ridiculous ass tricks, dude. And most of these tricks are actually explained really well to real life tricks.
Really?
So like, whoever made this shit was a skater at one point in his life.
It's obviously a skater in real life. Okay. Oh, so overall, does it like not just how close it sticks to just skating in general, but the overall story as it goes through? Is it just the same as your most standard shonen, or like air gear, just someone trying?
It's
to
kind of like your
or...
standard shonen air gear-ish style, but like
anime.
instead of like a bunch of teams racing, it's just like individuals racing down the S. But they did just start to have team racing.
Okay.
So it is pretty much kind of like air gear,
okay.
Except like you're not gonna die from doing this.
No one's gonna want.
I mean, they're throwing firecrackers at each other. If someone does die, then why would you even not like worry about that?
I mean,
it's okay.
It's all right.
It's all a part of the game.
The seriousness of it all. So is this like air gear, and like do people have like special abilities on their skates or anything, or powers, or is this like just all the visual trickery for it?
They don't have special abilities.
Okay.
Actually, it's just like how well you can skate down the S.
Okay. So more real to life than the exaggeration that you would get from an anime. All right. Not too bad. Not too bad. How many episodes were you in on this so far?
About like 4 or 5 episodes so far. So it's relatively very new.
Okay. Does it have is it from a manga adaptation, or is this?
I don't know actually.
So this
I think it's an anime only because I don't know if it has a manga. I never looked into that yet actually.
I mean, it's not entirely unusual, but it is rare. More than anything. So yeah, I mean, good stuff there. Might take a few looks at that. So for me, I am just doing some continuation anime reads and pickups. I know that season 2 of Slime has started, and I haven't checked with our other homie about that, because we had that huge
Trent still never watched it.
He still hasn't watched it. What,
Trent, buddy? If you are watching this, I'm calling you out.
Come on, Trent. We did. They made that bet. They did so much work to try and get it. All he got to do is just watch like 2 episodes. All right. We need to set up like a group day or something and just be like, we're gonna watch anime, and just we'll all get together and watch Slime with him. It's like, you just need a team. You need a team to do it with you or something. But
I keep telling him, man, whenever he has time, I'll sit there and watch it with him.
I mean, even if he's not gonna watch it, read it at least. It's good stuff. I mean, with season 2 starting as well, yeah, I think you said you're like a episode or 2 behind, or you caught up on the current one
Of Slime?
Yeah.
I'm about an episode behind.
Okay.
I know the new episode dropped today. I have not watched that yet, so.
Yeah. And you're actually reading and watching, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm caught up in manga as well.
Okay, you're actually caught up. So you already know what happened and what's going to happen here. Okay, yeah. We're finally getting to that where I was already enjoying the manga, but then it mine went over just a little bit when I was like, oh, they just decided to get dark. Like real dark there for a second, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is different. I figured that they were going to keep this on that nice light and steady path through most of this, but I guess the creator wanted to just add a little bit more edge in there, as we all need. I don't believe you are watching this currently, are you? I think you're just reading.
I am not watching it. I am reading it.
You're just reading, yeah.
I watched the first season, and then I will just wait till the second season is done because
go through.
I mean, since I'm reading it, it's whatever.
Yeah, you already know everything. It's fine. It's fine. Everything, at least, it seems to still be 1-to-1 with what's going on. So I'm hoping that these next few episodes will mirror what happened within the manga pretty closely there as well. But yeah, I've been enjoying that one, just continuing on that new season right now. Hopefully I mean, I think they're taking it slow because I think the manga still releases like almost like once every like 2 or 3 weeks. And the anime took forever to get to season 2 as well, for them to even get that on the schedule. And I don't know if that was just so that the manga could stay ahead or not, but yeah. So hopefully it doesn't, we don't get an end to season 2 and then there's like another year or 2-year break before we get a 3rd season if there is one. But yeah, I think
Execute Order 66.
What?
All right.
Really? Okay.
Okay.
That was an accident. I'm not gonna lie. I pressed the wrong button on my keyboard.
Apparently, even Palpatine is in on this anime as well. It's good to know. I'm always happy to see our Darth Lord is on board with our likes and less killing. But yeah. I'm trying to think of another anime I am still currently. Because of you, Ark, and our other friend Peter, I am halfway through season 2 of Log Horizon.
Okay.
And trying to get into season 3. I don't know if you are watching that one currently or if you're just waiting for that to end as well.
No, I'm not watching that.
Okay. I would have asked you some questions on that one then, but yeah, so hopefully I get caught up in that and actually see that because it's not that bad.
It's you know what? I'll wait till you get to season 3.
You'll wait till what some other people have said.
According to what Peter said and Matt has said, so.
Okay. All right. Well, I know I haven't been trying to keep up. I don't know if those two are watching him simultaneously or not, but yeah. So I've been enjoying Log Horizon. It is still the original creator came back to do this current season, right? He is no longer. Was he in prison or was he?
Yes, he was in prison.
Okay, so he actually was straight up in prison. Okay. Yeah. If that's
what you get for tax evasion.
There you go. If you didn't know, yeah, the original creator got jailed for tax evasion, and the funny thing to it is that apparently, according to at least you and Peter, the anime kind of like showed you his ideal of how he did the tax evasion.
No, it's not. It shows the idea of how he does the tax evasion. It's like what happens in the anime. There seems to be like someone who's really good, like not like at least knows his information enough to like start doing the things they do in it. Where you're like, oh, no wonder the anime is well informed because the writer is definitely well informed. That's what that kind of stuff is.
This person seems to understand economical issues as well as wealth in economies, all that kind of stuff. Oh, maybe that's because this person also, kind of has a high knowledge to that as well. Yeah, so hopefully season 3 stays as strong-ish. We'll see once I actually get there. But yeah, any other ones from you, Ark? Other animes? I know you're.
I've watched a couple episodes of Kumo Deska, whatever it is. The I Am a Spider Now.
Yeah.
I'm a spider, so what?
Yeah, I'm a spider, so what? There we go. It's good, and I would say mediocre at the same time. It's like this. Whenever focuses on just the main character, who's the Spider Girl, it's real good. But then, what I'm pretty sure happened is, like, they're doing things to, like, save budget, because the animation of the Spider Girl is really well done. But then you're like, oh, okay, the CGI for this is really good. And then they do this thing where they cut up the episode in half and spend time with the other students that also got isekai'd, which I know in the story you do get to spend some time with them a little bit, so you understand, like, it's world building, so you understand that there are other people who are there with her. The problem is it spends a little bit too much time with those characters, and you're like, I don't really care about these generic isekai characters because the rest of the class are very much generic. Really? And then she's the only one, the main character is the only one who's not generic. So I'm like, can I just follow her? Like, I've watched other isekai stuff before. I don't care about those characters very much. it's cool to know that there are other people there with her, so you know that her situation is she wasn't the only one who was sent there. But more any further than that, it was like it's almost irrelevant.
Yeah, they're just giving you extra padded knowledge for no real reason.
Yeah, they're giving you knowledge that it's not necessary, and especially not necessary now because they're going to have to, no matter what, like retread that a bit to explain to her later on and be like, oh yeah, this is what you missed out on while we were here. Like, you know, you're going to retread that anyways, right? So there's no point. But then the reason why they cut that is because when they go to the other students is because it's like regular animation now. So then you're like, oh, so they did it to like, they more than likely did it to cut on cost. And I'm like, I'm kind of worried about this because this is about a spider girl. Can we focus on the spider girl?
It would. I mean, it is right in the title, so you'd hope that there'd be focus on that. Yeah, I have not started that one yet. It is on my list to pick up and watch. If
It's a much better read.
Yeah, I was gonna say if the animation just bugs me too much, I can go straight to a read. It's no problem. I know that, you know, adaptation doesn't always go off with a bang, as we can tell from a lot of the ones we got recently. So yeah, hopefully it's not too terrible, and it kind of gets a little better as it goes the way through. Seraph, are you at all watching this as well, or are you strictly on the read for this one?
Spider?
Yeah.
I watched like the first episode, and then I started reading the manga.
Yeah.
But Jimmy, you know what I mean, right? Because it's like half of the episode is just the spider, and then the other half focuses on the other class, and you're like, but I don't care about these characters though, right? Like, they're just generic. They're uninteresting.
They're just regular old folk. That's kind of like unnecessary. I'd rather like see more of the spider doing work out here.
How many chapters are there though?
I think it's like 42.
You think it's probably because they're not as many that they're trying to pad out? So that because what they're doing
50.
is in the anime, it feels like they skip, like they time skip things anyways, because you could just have it where like you see her fight things, then that's not padding it. It's still, it would have been like nice to like see her fight a bit more instead of like have it where it's padded with these characters.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that they're like using it like they normally would do if they do go speak to the other students in the manga, but it's not as often. They're now it is very rare and occasional where you get to see like maybe the fact pages of them. The storyboards they came up with, they're like, yeah, this covers the first 30 chapters essentially. If we were just to focus on this, and that's probably where they're like, okay, we need to figure out how to extend that so that we don't.
If the light novel follows like this, could someone please tell me, because I have not read it. So if the light novel somehow does split between her and also the class, then I say, okay, sure, I get it. But that doesn't mean, like, I still think it's a wrong direction where it goes.
Yeah.
Especially since, like, I'm like, if you wanted these, like, if these characters were at least interesting, I'd be like, oh, okay, I'd be willing to watch them. But they're very generic, so.
Well, we'll have to see. I'm still interested in giving it a try and seeing how it goes. If not, then yeah, as always, another thing to add to the continuing roster of manga growing list as I have. But yeah, good to hear that one is at least part of it is okay, is good. Seraph, any other ones from you on the anime front?
No, I think I covered the ones that we covered the ones that I'm watching for like some of the newer seasons.
Yeah, that's all right. I know the other one that I picked up from this season was what if a player from the last dungeon went to the starter town?
Oh yeah, that's another one. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that one. I watched the first 2 episodes of that one, and I was like, okay, I'm in, because it definitely follows all that the extra dumb bullshit tropes. But I like the fact that it kind of is an isekai, but not, because he's born there, but he's from people who are the heroes and have come from other worlds. But yeah, just the overall premise of him just being like, I'm the weakest one in our village, but the weakest is still the greatest compared to everybody else. that he would run into in the real world. So yeah, the first
You mean the
episode-
child of a monster is still a fucking monster? Yes.
I mean, yes. I mean, it was great when he's just like, yeah, I had to run here, and it took me 4 days, and yeah, I know it's super disappointing. It's just like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, my grandpa would only get here in 2. And I'd be like, that's still godly compared to anybody else. I don't know if it ever switches up and gets any a little bit darker, but I've been enjoying that one so far. I think they're on like episode 6 now, 6 or 7. I have not seen.
I think 6 or
It's
yeah,
about
I think
6 episodes.
I don't know if the
for
new
that
episode.
one.
Yeah, I don't know if the new episode dropped so far today, but yeah. So, yeah, I think that one's been good so far. I am definitely enjoying that one, kind of a lot. Arc, any other ones from you?
Not anime.
Not anime wise. All right. I'm trying to think if there was any other ones that I still had on the roster to pick up. Of course, I was watching Jujutsu Kaisen, but I'm already so far ahead in reading. I'll probably continue to stick to it, even though it's
No, Jujutsu Kaisen has the same exact problem with Naruto, where like if you read ahead of it, then you're like, oh, I'm gonna go back and watch the fight scenes. Like you know what I'm saying? It's not like
I
oh
know
yeah.
exactly where you're coming from, bro.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to go back and watch it for like the story again, because the story is kind of generic. The only good part, like in that early bit, which like I would totally watch that bit again, is still technically a fight scene. Is when like the main character fights against the big muscle-headed guy, and they become quote unquote bros.
bro,
right?
man.
Yeah, like that part is the only part I would watch for like story, because like that's funny, because that's comedy. Everything else though is kind of like meh, like it's generic. I don't particularly care.
It's all serious all the time, except for that one thing where it's like, I'm still giving you information that's important, but it's layered with all of this stupidity happening on top, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, cool. This is funny. This is like actual comedy, and I can watch this.
Yeah. So I haven't made it past the last couple of episodes, but I'm already further ahead reading, so I'll probably end up like just waiting till more of the fight scenes come out and watch those. But I'll just continue to read it as my main source. Yeah. Outside of that, I haven't started up Fire Force Season 2. I've definitely seen a few people.
I finished that.
Oh, you did? Okay. I definitely seen a few people give high praise on their thoughts to that. I do know our other group's personal opinions on that one. But yeah,
Well, everyone likes it?
No. Well, everyone else likes it. John, and I think John said he did not like it.
Yeah, because if you've watched like
But I haven't read the other one that the
Soul Eater?
same critter. Yeah, I
if
haven't.
you've watched fucking Soul Eater, then you've seen this, because
I
it's
haven't.
the same exact premise.
I haven't, so it's okay. So this
That's
is.
why
Watch Soul Eater yet?
I haven't. I've
Nice.
only seen
I'm
a
like-
bit of it, and then I'm just like, I got other things.
That's why I'm like, oh yeah, if you've seen Soul Eater, you've seen Eren no Sobatai, okay? You've seen Fire Force, alright? Like that's all it is.
I mean, probably, but it has no bearing on me of bad or samey, because I don't have that back history in my head, so it's all good. But yeah, I think that's everything on my list right now that I'm currently watching or keeping up with. Season 2 of Dr. Stone dropped out. I know I still have to watch I think we're only in like 4 episodes of that.
I watched a little bit of that. I've read the manga before
I
season
read-
2 came out.
I read the manga. I was reading the manga almost in tandem with the show for the first season, but I think I wanted to end up continuing watching it rather than reading it. So I'm going to keep up on that train as it goes.
Fine, I dropped that.
That's fine. Perfectly fine.
Because it loses what it was about in the first place, which was like, oh, science shenanigans.
I mean,
And now it's like,
for most of the first season,
Oh.
it kept the science shenanigans. I'm figuring now in the second season, it drops them kind of a bit.
yes.
Okay, well, I'll see when I get there. But yeah, I think that's just about everything on the roster for me for at least anime. But manga. Do we want to talk about our one first? arc.
You mean you
our
just want to talk
favorite
about Kaiju number 8? Go ahead.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I just want to talk about kaiju.
I've never read that.
So many kaijus. You should. You really.
shall
Have you
read.
not read Kaiju number 8?
He has
No,
not.
I have not.
No, JB, you have to start reading Kaiju number 8.
Why?
Kaiju
Why?
number 8. Okay, I'll tell you this. Okay.
If he was only looking down
we
at you
go,
as he was
boys!
yelling at you, it would
Alright.
be great.
If it wasn't for the fact that like I am invested into reading One Piece, I would probably not be reading anything else on Shonen Jump. But Kaiju number 8 is Shonen Jump. It's digital Shonen Jump, but it's still Shonen Jump. And I'm like, oh wow, Kaiju number 8 is everything I want from a actual Shonen Jump manga right now. It is absolutely everything I want. It is humorous, it is action-packed, the designs are great, the story is cohesive, it's well written, and I'm like, oh, this is real fucking good, alright? And it's also one of the few where it's like, hey, the main character is a 30-some-year-old man. You're like, oh, I can relate to this, alright? And I get it why it's not in Shonen Jump, because not everyone's a 30-year-old man. But I'm gonna tell you this: even if he was like a regular, like a younger person, all right, that just means that everything else is still just as good. Then, like, it would have been perfectly fine if he was like, oh, I'm a 20-year-old man, or I'm 18 or 19. I'm like, cool. This still makes sense the way it's written. It's well written.
Yeah, I could see that. I think there would probably be a little bit of disconnect with the, oh man, my life is like, I wasted so much of my life. I'm like, you're 16. I think you're okay.
No,
think
but
you got a lot of time ahead of you. But he's like 30 something, and he's like,
a bit where it's like, oh, my dream is to do this. That part still works though.
Oh no, yeah, that part still works, yeah. But the back end and reasoning though for like why he didn't continue to go with the dream is like, I'm just too old to do that now, kind of thing.
Mm.
It's like, let those kids handle that shit. Yeah, no, but also, yeah, I mean, even with the main character also being like, yeah, he's an older dude, and he's kind of rolling with younger kids in the squad. They're still like probably in their like 20s, 20-ish, maybe 18-ish. They're still far younger than him, at least 20, half his age. But yeah, it's
he's a man of experience who's been in the work for so long that he's like, oh yeah, I may not have been fighting along you guys, but I have knowledge of the things we are fighting. Let me offer you my drop of knowledge.
It's that difference of thing of where they still do the shonen thing where they make the MC gain an ability or become super massively strong. But with the way they do it in here, even when he has that strength, it isn't like what most MCs would do where they, full frontal go force to, they fight the enemy head on. They're the ones to lead the charge. He's kind of like, oh, I got my ability. He's like, he got the abilities. He's like, oh shit, I can't show anybody these abilities. And then even then when he gets it under control, he's still like, I really can't do anything. Otherwise I'm going to get fucking screwed by this. So he has to fall back. I mean, even after gaining abilities, he still sucks in combat, kind of.
Yeah, he has no idea how to utilize any of his
yeah,
powers.
exactly. So, but he has to fall back on like, he has to fall back, like you said, on his knowledge in order to help out the team and be an asset. Because, well, I mean, not to mention the fact of his job, his day-to-day job is that he is basically a garbage man, but specifically for the monsters. He's the one they send in to clean up the parts. So he actually has like full knowledge of like what's the weakest part of the monster, where their like actual vulnerability points are. So yeah, he basically is playing the support character, even though he technically has all of the abilities and roles to be the attacking character. It's just more like, he uses that when he's the final line of defense is broken and he has to be the trump card to kind of make sure that the day is saved. But yeah, I like that reversal of like, oh no, you, even like most things, but when you have an older character, they're like, no, I'm teaching you all how to be strong. You go ahead and take care of the fight. And they kind of do that same thing here with him. But yeah, I will say for definitely on Green, some of the art is really, really fantastic and gorgeous. Even when he does fully monsterize
No, you read the first 2 chapters. The first 2 chapters are like the perfect introduction to what this is. All right, like when you get that second chapter where he does the punch and he punches the monster like square in the face, like, and uppercuts it. That 1 page of that action scene is so fantastically drawn that you're like, oh, I know what this is. This reminds me of how Kubo used to draw really cool shit, all right? But it's really well written. That's all it is.
It's got all the art of Kubo, but all the magnificent writing of whatchamacallit, another one, am I? Another manga I cannot think of right now off the top of my head. It's got that solid, nice story in there to really back it up, though.
It's like if Orobuchi was writing the story and then he got
God.
Kubo to draw shit, and that's what it is. Because he was like, all right, I have this really cool story that I want to tell.
But
Who's
I
gonna
can't
draw
do
it?
I can't do any of the artistry work, or it will, or this will basically turn out like Tony Daniels. Yeah. So I don't think we've gotten any closer to like figuring out exactly how he monsterized yet. Quite right? They haven't really focused that part of the story.
We know how, but we don't know why. Two different things.
Yeah. We're still pretty much in the stages of at least like getting
the mysteries unfolding still.
Because we don't.
However, it doesn't like take its sweet ass time to reveal the story. Like it immediately leaps in and it's like, oh hey, he's not the only one who can turn into a monster, and you're like, okay, cool. The questions are answered fairly quick. It's just that the overall mystery is still just there as it's building to it.
Yeah, we're still trying to establish the main mystery as it is. I mean, granted, it's still pretty early on. How many chapters are we on right now? Not that many.
No, not that many.
Like 30?
It's like 24 chapters of
Yeah.
Kaiju number 8.
Yeah, we're
28?
still we're
I just pulled it up.
Less than 30.
Yeah, we're still
just
pretty
pulled it up.
we're pretty early on, and I am surprised for this one because I have seen a few bit of people talk about it. But even though because like you said, this is from Shonen.
This is Shonen Jump, but it's digital. So like I'm going to tell. So if you're only reading Shonen Jump on paper, you're missing out on this. All right, go and find it because it is a digital release. All right, and I'll be honest, I kind of wish there was like all of Shonen Jump was just a digital release now because I think paper is outdated now.
It's becoming more and more so.
Yeah.
I kind of wish it had the schedule though, like most of its higher, it's more well-known Shonen Jump series, because I think this release.
No, man, let this guy like be able to tell a story and take a good breathe, like take a good pace, okay, dude. Don't burn yourself out, all right. I'm fine if like I get a chapter every 2 weeks or something, all right. Or like I don't need you killing yourself over every single week, all right. It's perfectly fine.
Bro, if you're watching this, just take your time with it. All right.
Oh,
We
good
need
story. All right.
a good story out here. You feel me?
Give us a good story. I mean, I'm fine. I mean, as
We
long
don't
as I
stories.
knew when they were coming. If it was like once a month, I'd be like, it's fine. I know at least it's coming every second Tuesday of the month or something. This is kind of like, you
Is
get
it like a
it.
sporadic release?
Almost. It almost feels like that. Like,
Hey man, this dude's probably like sitting there. He's just like, man, I
I
don't
mean,
feel like doing this right now. And then like, I don't know. He's just like,
there
why
was
we're doing this?
there was a while there. I even asked him because like he showed me about it. I read it and I'm like, I'm caught up. And then there was like enough time that I even looked at him like, is this series still going? I thought it might be canceled because it was just that big of a gap. And I was like, oh, this isn't good.
No, I almost feel like what happened is like the first like 20 chapters or something were like almost mass released by Shonen Jump instead of like actually like spacing them out properly. So then now everyone's like expectations is like, oh right, it's gonna come out. Like, and it's like, but no, like that's not how this works with this because the writer is still working on it. And you're like, but you guys released this all at once. And you're like, yeah, but and that's the pro and con of something digital like this, right? Because it's not actually like the first dozen or so chapters were not like scheduled,
kind of.
right? They kind of just came out all at once.
Yeah, that is true. But I mean, we've also been kind of pre-trained in that from a lot of just the older days of how we would have gotten manga, each week. And also with webtoons, most of their artists have themselves on, a weekly basis of releasing content. So it's not wholly
It's fine.
hard and unexpected.
You don't have to explain me that, because I read a fucking manhwa webtoon that releases 2 or 3 chapters every day or every 2 days, and I'm just like, man, this is
holy shit.
Like, yeah, it's over 900 chapters right now or something, and I'm like, man, this is so fucking fast. I'm like, I don't even understand how you can do this fast. Unless there were only so many chapters ahead of time. Yeah, it's good. Like, if it was that good, I would have dropped it long ago.
They spent the first 8 years of their life doing nothing but writing, and they finished that. So now they're just doing the drawing on top of it. So that's why you're getting them out so quickly.
Is the art fire?
I think it's decent.
I haven't seen it. I'd have to take a look at it. So, yeah.
It's one of 2 stories which I consider it's pure cultivation.
Oh, just all cultivation, straight up.
Yeah, like it's cultivation, and anything else that happens is just like, oh, this is like just so happens to be the topic of the week instead of like, yeah.
I see.
Oh, he went back to go visit his family, and then there's family turmoil. But it wasn't because he went to go cultivate because there was family turmoil. Do you understand that? If there's a difference, it's not like other cultivation stories. It's like, oh, this is a revenge story that so happens to be also involving cultivation. No, this is just a story about a guy who's like, no, I just want to cultivate, and then he went back home, and then there's family shit happening. He's like, why am I even here? I just want to go cultivate, please. Please leave me alone.
Aww. His life struggles are so difficult. Anyway, what other ones do we got for mangas that we're reading outside of Kaiju number 8? I know that was the one shared between us, but I know you had some other ones there, Chu.
Don't use that name, you know that. I've posted this in places before. Soso no Freiren, Freiren at the funeral. Mm-hmm. This is a story about where, in the generic fantasy stories where, the main character is the hero, and then he goes off and creates a party and like saves the world by defeating the Demon King. The story here focuses on the elf who is a part of the hero's party, and this is like several decades after they've defeated the Demon King, and the rest of the party is dead. So then the elf is like, I am the last remaining member because I'm a long-living species, right? Mm-hmm. So then now she goes and like retreads the journey they did and like cleans up all the little things they couldn't clean up along the way. Like, oh, we couldn't defeat this one demon that many decades ago. However, I now know the spell to defeat him. We just had him sealed away, so they unseal him and she beats him and cleans it up. So like, this is the story of the elf who's like, oh, my friends are dead, and I just have to go on this journey in order to clean up the little deeds that we couldn't clean up along the way. And you're like, oh, this is interesting. This is the story. You're like, oh, this is the epilogue story I've always wanted for like these kind of fantasy stories.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like it's been decades since the heroes and the heroes party have died, so like they don't know that she's the elf of the party because it's been so many times,
so
long. So then when she goes, everyone's like, oh yeah, there wasn't, like they talk about the stories of them, and then she's like, yeah, I remember that time, but you guys don't know the exact story, and she remembers it, and she's like. And she, she kind of smiles to herself like, oh, these were the friends I made along the way beforehand, and these are the memories I still hold with them. It's very melancholy a bit, but it's also very like endearing to see that, like we have a character like this that's like, oh, everyone else may be dead, but I still I still live on for them.
Yeah, I carry their memories into the new future. This one, that sounds kind of like the other one I was reading as well, Newgate. It sounds a little like that.
Oh, I love Newgate.
Which I am still reading myself. I need to catch up all the way on that. But yeah, that sounds the same exact way with the same thing with the MC being not really reincarnated, but like being more or less reborn, but far into the future, that everyone's kind of forgotten who he is.
Inside of a video game.
Yes. So yeah, like he still retains all his abilities and his memories, but no one seems to actually remember who he is. So he's kind of now going through, like, almost retreading in the world, and seeing how it's kind of progressed since they've saved the day, kind of thing. That one's actually not. That sounds interesting. I might pick that one up. There was another one on there that I think this one was under manhwa, not manga. I'm not 100% sure on that. It's been a while since I was reading it. Retired Heroes. I don't know if
the one where the prince and also
the king.
The king.
The king and the demon the demon king's daughter, I think, essentially.
No, she's a slayer, isn't she?
She's a demon, but she's supposedly of royal lineage. But they were the hero party that saved the world, and they
faked their deaths to live a quiet life.
They basically decided that he wanted to retire, so he fakes dying and letting someone else succeed to the throne, and then they basically go off and live in in like a tiny village to just continue living, and they have a child. But yeah, that one was fun because it's like them trying to be parents, even though they kind of don't really have a handle on that balance, at the same time keeping the identity that they're secretly they're the previous heroes and their kid.
Hey, doesn't that statue kind of look like you, Dad? No, I don't know what you mean.
I have no idea what you could possibly mean by that.
You don't look like me. You must be tripping, son.
Or their daughter that just secretly, slowly is pushing her way into becoming another adventurer. Even though they're like, no, don't do that.
Not alone.
We want you to live a normal, every little day life. Yeah. I definitely got to pick up on that one. I don't know if that actually still ongoing or not, because
I thought it was still ongoing. I see chapters occasionally. I don't know
I
if...
think I need to check my translator then and see, because it hasn't updated in a while. They might have dropped it.
I thought a chapter this month or last month or something like that.
Yeah, I'll have to check on that one to make sure, because it has not updated in quite a bit for me, at least. But yeah, that was at least another one I was up on currently. Sarah, if you got any mangas you're actually reading, or is it still just, like you said, basically One Piece and I cannot remember the other one you told me.
Damn, I can't remember what I told you either.
Oh, that's so bad. That's so bad, man. It was Black Clover.
Yeah, there we go. I'm caught up in that.
So, yeah,
it's just practically Naruto, but with demons.
But with demons.
No, it's worse than Naruto. You stop that.
Wow, it's worse than Naruto? Really?
But with demons.
Oh, look, the dark power that I've had this entire time, it somehow turns out to be my adoptive brother, because after my mom gave me up, and then she adopted this demon child who had no magic also, but then, and you're like, this is, okay, so you're telling me your mom had you, right? And then gave you up at some point, or either thought you were dead, and then adopted a demon child who then dies, and then gets put into her magic book, her grimoire, who later you somehow pick up coincidentally, and your secret power is your adoptive brother. Yes. Then what? No, this is confusing as fuck. Why is it like this? Why is it like that, Jimmy?
My brother is my stand. You shut up.
I don't have an answer for that one, bud.
With that, okay.
Hey,
I'm just too far into it now.
Yeah.
Oh, you're too invested now to give it up.
I have read 200 of whatever I think it's like 85 chapters of this shit. I'm not giving up now.
Hey.
Oh.
This could have been so much worse. This could have been 7 days.
And it's almost about to end too. So I'm just gonna go through it.
This could have been the 7 deadly sins. Be happy.
Don't worry, we have a sequel for the 7 Deadly Sins.
No, we
anyways.
don't. It's not real. Shut up.
This was the true story.
Oh
that
my
you
God.
wanted to
I
tell.
will-
7 Deadly Sins was just the
I will-
prequel to this.
I will come over there and I will slap that eel. Slap that eel off you. Dear God.
We'll show you what's really under that goddamn thing.
It's another eel.
His hand.
It's another eel. Oh God, that's so terrible. So bad, but oh man. After that fun, is there any other special appreciation we want to give out to any
Yes,
other
I have a
mangas?
couple.
Ooh, you got some more? What else we got?
I have Sengoku Komachi Kurotan no Kogiga.
Those are words. I believe
yeah,
those are words.
Those are definitely words.
Yeah, it's about a girl who time slips into the past and meets up with Nobunaga, and then she has to try to survive. And she convinces Nobunaga that she was basically raised by Westerners and stuff, so she knows all of this Western technology. So she has to incorporate stuff, but like be careful how she incorporates it into past mythology, where she doesn't like completely just destroy everything. And then she's trying very hard to like not also introduce like weapons in any way, but then there are definitely people who want to utilize her knowledge for weapons. And she's just saying, no, I'm just teaching you guys how to like farm better, because if people can farm better, then like people don't die of starvation, and then you have more soldiers then. Like that's how she convinces Nobunaga like for this kind of stuff. She's like, oh, you guys are eating wrong. Let me cook you guys good tasting food with these kind of dishes, so you understand that, oh, I have a nutritious diet, then people don't starve on the battlefield. Oh, like that's the kind of stuff that she goes through. And she kind of at some point just put off saying like, you know what, I don't think there's a way for me to go back home, so I'm just going to like try to live out as well as possible
Make
here.
out a life here. That sounds not too bad. I mean, I haven't read too many time slips. It's what's up.
I like good historically written stuff. This isn't one of those ones where it's like, oh, it doesn't. Okay, it doesn't. It's a Nobunaga story that does not idolize Nobunaga.
Okay.
You know, like every single time that Nobunaga shows up in like an anime or a manga, it has it where like, oh yeah, I was the strongest badass ever, and you're like, all right, no, that's mythological, like idolizing. That is like legends upon legends here. No, this is just has it where like Nobunaga is like a guy who's just trying to take over Japan, trying to take over Japan the way he does, and it's not like
he does.
Yeah, it's not like he's like a powerful dude. He's just like, no, I'm a charismatic person who this is my, this is where I want to go with this. And you're like, cool, I get where this goes, and he just needs help along the way.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, he's going to do it anyways, right? So, but yeah. She can just help lessen the burden along the way, and that's what it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't read too many like deep good historical mangas. I have seen them as they've come up, but there hasn't been any that I've like read all the way through. So this one definitely sounds a little interesting. Also for one that, yeah, like you said, it doesn't idolize or deify these people from history in the mythological sense that we normally get. So that sounds like that might be pretty cool as well. Yeah. I do have another one I still need to catch up on. Way of the Husband.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And even more so because...
Which is getting a live action.
Yeah, even more so because the live action is coming. If you don't know what this is, go watch the trailer for it. It's fun. Yeah. RMC is a former gang member.
Former
Yakuza. But basically, I guess
he's now a house husband.
Decides to settle down as a house.
Yeah,
husband.
he's a Yakuza guy who decides to settle down. He gets married, and he's like, oh yeah, my wife is the breadwinner, and I just take care of the house as the house husband. But the problem is, because he's a former Yakuza, everything he does looks suspicious. So it's the humor comes from like, oh, he's going around carrying a case of drugs, right? And the cops are following him, and then they find out that the case of drugs he was carrying was just herbs that he was growing in his little yard. And he's like, yeah, I grew this like sassafras and like these this mint and these herbs. And he's just like, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that and then the cops are like, what? We thought you were like growing marijuana or something. Like
we thought you were a drug dealer out
yeah,
here.
like you were drug
Hold
dealing.
on, dude. We didn't know you was bringing around these little herbs to go take to back home so you can cook.
It also
Yeah,
doesn't
like,
help
that's the kind of shenanigans that happen,
I mean,
like that kind of stuff.
Also, the added like cinematography and drawing style that they use for when he's doing these things, because it's not like so much. It's not like so much that like, yeah, he was a former Yakuza member and he's forgotten that lifestyle. Like, no, he still like dresses like a Yakuza member. He still has the tattoos. When he does anything, it's to that other level. So it just makes
it's an exaggerated Yakuza character.
Yeah, it just makes him seem a little more off. And he's also like a slightly well-known member, because I remember from one chapter, like they weren't just like following out of just complete randomness. Like he looked suspicious, but like they like recognized him. He's like, oh, he's one of these members of that, and it's like, so they're like expecting him to do something bad, and he's just, no, I'm just going to my wife's work so I can drop off her food. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like there's a chapter where he's at a little like swap meet, right? And he's trying to sell his little things that he either made or he has like little tools he's selling. And then like a bunch of other Yakuza guys show up, and they're like, "Oh, it's so and so, right?" And they think he's like treading on their territory, and then he's just trying to sell them this peeler, like this vegetable peeler, right? But then the way he says it sounds like he's going to use it to peel them, and then they're like, "Oh no, we should just back off because he's one badass motherfucker, right?" And it's just like, no, he's just trying to sell you this like this vegetable peeler. It's all it is.
It's like someone played the Yakuza games and then watched My Wife is a Gangster and was like, what if
we formed these two?
What if I put these together and turn it into, and that's basically what we got. So yeah. Yeah, that one's been pretty fun. I like that a comedy slice of life kind of vibe there that we got with that in a lot of ways.
I mean, if we're still on comedies, that I suggest Isekai Oji-san.
Yep, that was the other one I was gonna bring up. Definitely, you wanna?
Yeah, Isekai Oji-san is a story about the main character is a guy who goes and picks up his uncle who's been in a coma for like X amount of years, right? And then when his uncle wakes up, his uncle reveals that while he was in the coma, he had actually isekai'd to another world. But the problem is he isekai'd to the other world, but he kept his faith. So he's kind of, I wouldn't say he's an ugly motherfucker, but he is definitely like, he is ugly in the sense that he's drawn ugly in the manga, right? Like he's not, like his character isn't an actual ugly character. He's kind of like the generic like, I've got glasses and I'm like the nerdy kind of like character looking, right? But compared to everyone else in the manga, he is kind of ugly, right? So then when he got isekai'd, everyone in the isekai world, yeah, he kept the mug, so that in the isekai world, everyone was like, oh no, he's an orc or he's some sort of monster looking thing. And so like what happened is he learned a magic to just wipe his memories, but so he would block his memories and write whatever happened in that, like just the important events of the day in a diary. But then when he came back, his nephew wanted to know what happened, right? And so he's like, oh, let me just replay the memories for you, even though like I don't exactly remember everything that happened, but we can watch it as it goes. So they watch it, and his uncle, you know, like the humorous part is like his uncle's like, you know what? While I was isekai, because I was so ugly, there was no girls who wanted to be with me, right? So, but then his nephew notices that there were girls who definitely like him, but he doesn't understand. His uncle doesn't understand women, so it's just that he just misconstrued everything. Like my favorite scene to bring up example is the one where the elf girl and him go out drinking, and then the uncle is like, hey, let's go back to my place. And the elf girl's like, oh man, is this where this is gonna happen? So like they go back, they walk back, and then he pats her on the shoulder, and he's like, hey, thanks for bringing me back to my room. I really trust you. And he walks in and locks her out, and she's like, wait, what? And he wakes up the next day. He's like, hey, thanks for being a friend and being there for me. And then he sees that like her eyes all like balled out, but he doesn't understand why. And he's like, did something happen last night? And she just like lies to him like nothing happened, right? Like that kind of shit. And then his nephew is like watching this, is like, oh, she was crying the entire night. I must never ever tell my uncle how much she fucked up every single time. Like that's what it is.
To put more in perspective, the nephew who is our MC, who we follow through this, doesn't believe he's isekai at first until he like displays he has magic abilities even in this world. But the uncle like isekai, and he's kind of like the worst kind of isekai hero. Like he does the heroic deeds he needs to, but he doesn't have any of like the other traits that usually comes with this, where they're either they either look good and they or they're really good at speaking, or they have some kind of like natural trait that puts them above there. He doesn't have any of those. So pretty much every trope that would normally occur for an MC and isekai,
no, he goes an OP ass motherfucker though.
Well, no, he's still like, yeah, he's still good in the magic sense, but every other trope that he would normally go through,
being there,
he's just completely dense to. But also for the fact like some of the things that he even runs into, like they're tropes from like the 2000s, and he like isekai'd back in like the 90s. So like one of the things
he has no idea what the tropes are.
Yeah, he has no idea what the tropes are when he sees them or what these situations are. So he's just completely oblivious to them when they happen. So it's really effed up to see him like, oh yeah, no, the situation was totally in your favor, and you just don't see it because it wasn't a thing when you were a kid. Or when you were a teenager.
It also doesn't help that like he erases his like he blocks his
memory. And that too, yeah. He chooses to forget every painful moment.
Yeah.
He doesn't
He's
learn
like,
from anything.
I was emotionally hurt here. Well, I'm just gonna block this memory.
I mean,
that's amazing.
One way of never learning.
The people I saved in this village, like I definitely saved them, so I'm gonna write in this diary that I saved this village, but that everyone in this village calls me a monster, and they blame me for being the cause of this, even though I had nothing to do with this. Well, I guess I'm just gonna block that memory.
Not gonna try and fix my own situation, just put it out of my own mind. Yeah. That one is definitely good. I gotta keep reading that one. But yeah, I think we might be good on this episode. We've definitely gone over an hour for ourselves, unless there's any special shout out you guys want to give to any other ones.
I have one last one.
One last one. All right.
Yes. Okay. It is Boraku Gakko ni Tsutomete Shimata Sensei.
Please tell me there's just an English title.
A teacher who works at a black school.
Oh, it's that one.
Yeah,
gotcha.
it's that one.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
No.
So, yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
So.
And it's not even. It's a black school.
It's a school of gyarus. Okay?
God, why?
They're
not black.
So, the premise is the main character is a guy who ends up going to who ends up being the teacher at an all-girls school where they're all gyarus, okay? And he teaches this class where all these gyarus are like, at first they were just all teasing him because they're like, oh, if we could teach the teacher enough, then like he'll leave, and then they realize that he has a giant dick, and they're like, oh, we all want to fuck that now, right? And at first it's kind of like a humorous thing.
How do they realize that?
Realize that it's like. Eventually there's a deeper story behind everything, right? Like there's a maid, I don't want to ruin it because it's surprisingly weirdly like the story itself is like wholesome. It's just that all these gyaru are like thirsty for dick, right? So you're like, oh, okay, cool. But at the same time, they're like, yeah, but I just want to fuck too at the same time.
When you have those wholesome thirsty dick stories.
It's a good story. It's surprisingly, like romance wise, it's really well written.
Only from Japan.
It's just that all the girls are like, yeah, I want to fuck that. And then we come to the realization that, oh, yeah, he doesn't get, like, they're like, oh, yeah, if there's just one girl, he doesn't get hard. What? There has to be multiple girls. Or, like, because what happens, because you find out, like, in his past as to what happened, and you're like, oh, unless he literally has a sensory overload, he can't get hard. And you're like, oh, this is hilarious. And then now the girls are like, okay, now we have to fight over it. It's like, what we're gonna do here? And then you're just like, oh, okay. And then what happens is, when later on, like, you know, they're like trying to figure out, does the teacher not like me because he doesn't get hard by himself? No, he just has to have literally a sensory overload, or it's just not happening at all. That's what it is.
The stories that Ark truly gets into and manages to find on the internet.
I'm suggesting just weird shit that no one else reads. It's
clearly, very much.
Clearly.
What? What? You want me to suggest One Piece?
No,
oh, read One Piece.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the choice that you choose other than One Piece.
Man, I'm gonna choose obscure shit.
Well, we'll definitely make sure to put a list down below of every one of the shows that we mentioned, or every one of the mangas that we mentioned today, and the animes as well. So if you're interested in any of those, you can go find them out there, as they are all over the place. Definitely hit us up in the comments with any of the current animes and mangas that you're reading, what you like. If you can't even leave a link to one of them, we can check them out, see what we think, give some feedback. But I think we can go ahead and close on that one for now, until we find more very weirdly depraved mangas to add to this roster. But Seraph, if you want to take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this Relevant Ramblings episode. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like. Make sure to subscribe. If you guys want to stay updated with our content, make sure to hit that little bell. And make sure to hit all my links down below for our Twitter, our Discord, our Twitch, our Anchor, our Spotify, everything, all the above is down there right below.
Thank you. Well, just to close us out as one last time, it is your big dog is sleepy.
It's your boy Seraph here.
And this is Arc Dragoon out.
He's such a weird fish. Take it easy, everyone.